And welcome back. I hope you have understood the concept of solving the Sudoku puzzle that we have discussed in the last lesson. Because now in this lesson, we'll be discussing the program, how we can write down a program that will automatically solve my Sudoku puzzle. Okay. But before starting the coding, I would like you to analyze this output once. Okay. Now you can notice that I have this output. Okay, the very first thing that is coming is unsolved Sudoku, in which I am representing those null entries as 0. Then I have solved Sudoku, in which you can just have a look that I have there is no element which is less than 1, and there is no element which is greater than 9. Okay, but along with that there is a message also is coming, that is loop is 3. Now what is this loop? That I have taken just in order to show you that how much time the operations are getting performed in order to solve your Sudoku puzzle. Okay, why I'm showing you this? Because see, we have discussed in the last lessons that we have different levels of Sudoku, right? So now we are going to discuss the code that we are going to do, how much time it is taking to solve my Sudoku puzzle. Okay, so we if you can just have a look that it is taking only 3 iterations. That means we need to perform the operations only 3 times, and within less than 1 second my puzzle has been solved. Okay, now let's just shift on to the coding section. Let's just code this one by one. Let me clear the screen first. Okay, so now we are going to do the coding here. Okay, so first of all, in order to perform the operation, first of all I need input. Okay, so let's say I'm naming that as input Sudoku. Now I'm working with list, but that is not a mandatory condition. You can follow arrays, you can use dictionaries, you can use list. That is entirely your choice. Okay, one thing which we have already discussed, that in Sudoku puzzle is a multi-dimension matrix. So that means I need to take multi-dimension list here. Okay, so let's just input the values. I'm going to take the same values that I have shown you in this example. Okay, so I'm going to take the same value. See, this is my input. Okay, this is my input. Now I'm just going to print the value once, just in order to show you that you can have the look unsolved Sudoku. Okay, and unsolved Sudoku, and after that I'm going to print for I in the range, that is 0 till 9, then for j in the range 0 till 9, then I'm going to print my input Sudoku I and then j. Okay, now I want that element should appear in the same line with the spaces like I have shown it here. So I'm going to use like I have shown here. Okay, so I'm going to use a separator that is known as end separator. So we don't want end as a new line, we want end as this bit spaces, right? And we want a new row in a new line, so for that I'm using print. That's it. Right now we have not done anything to solve it. We are just running the unsolved Sudoku. We are going to run that unsolved Sudoku, that is try sudoku.py. Okay, so see, it is giving me that unsolved Sudoku. 0 values means that I need to fill those 0 values as one of the possible value ranging from 1 till 9. Okay, that value could be any value. Okay, so now let's just focus on the concept now. So now I'm going to print a message that is solve Sudoku. Okay, because now we are going to work in order to solve it. Okay, solve Sudoku. And before that, let's just have a print statement so that we can have a line variation. Then after this, what I'm going to do, I have made a subroutine in order to solve Sudoku, and I have named this as solve Sudoku. You can give it any name. Usually we prefer to name like, that is easy for you to understand things. So in this, I'm passing this whole input. In the solve Sudoku, I am passing this whole input that I have named as input Sudoku, right? Now you must be knowing that in Python, before making a call to a function, we need to define that function, okay? Because here we don't have any concept of function prototype like in other languages. We don't have such concept. So if we want to call a function, we need to define it first. So that is why I am defining it line number 21, but my main concept is getting started from the line number 23. Okay, so how we can define a function? We need to write def keyword. Def is for defining. Def solve Sudoku. Okay, inside that we have one parameter, that is input Sudoku. Okay, now I am going to write the functions inside it. Okay, first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to create an empty list. Okay, an empty list that would be of size 9 by 9. So that means a multi-dimension empty list. What we are going to do in that, we are going to assign the value 0. We are going to assign the value 0 to every place where there is a value null. Okay, so we are going to do that. So what we are going to write it here, int 0. So that means 0 would be assigned for I in the range that is 9. If I am giving only one range, so that means I am giving the upper range. Okay, so by default it will get started from 0. Okay, similarly for j in the range, that is 9. Here what I am trying to do, I have created an empty list, empty multi-dimensional list that is having all the elements as 0, right? Now what we are going to do, we are going to take a new variable that is all candidates. Okay, now here what we are trying to do, we are trying to assign all the candidates of our multi-dimension list as 0. What we are trying to do. Okay, after that, now we are going to saw how many times we need to repeat the process, how many times we need to keep on going until and unless my puzzle has not been solved. So for that, I'm going to take a variable that is solved, and I'm going to take a value that is false for this. So I need to repeat all the process until and unless my value of is solved variable is false. Because once it becomes true, so that means my puzzle has been solved. Okay, so I need to keep on repeating the process until it is false. Okay, that means false means that there is even a single element could be there which is equal to 0, and I need to remove that 0 element, and I need to fill that element with any number ranging from 1 till 9. Okay, now after that, what we are going to do, now we are going to fill the elements with the required element that we have discussed. If you remember that we have discussed that firstly we are going to put 0, then we are going to check that, then what we'll do, we'll populate every entry where there is a 0, we'll populate that entry with all the numbers from 1 till 9. Okay, we'll populate that cell with 9 values, that is 1 till 9, and then we'll keep on eliminating those values one by one, if you remember the logic that we have discussed in the last lesson. Okay, so similarly, similar thing we are going to do, we are going to write down a function here that is determine candidates. Okay, and inside those determine candidates we are going to pass the two parameters. One is input Sudoku, okay, and one is your all candidates. Okay, one is the actual list and one is the list in which you have entered all the values as 0. Okay, now before making a call to this function, I need to define this function. So what I'm going to do in this function, what I'm going to define in this function, I'm going to populate all the cells having a value 0 with the 9 values, and then we'll keep on eliminating the repeating values. Okay, so here what parameters we are passing, that is input Sudoku, and we are passing that is all candidates. Okay, since we are defining this function, so we need to write one letter, that is def keyword. Okay, now here we are going to define our determine candidates. Okay, now what we are going to do in that determine candidates, we are going to check for I in the range that is 0 till 9 and for j in the range 0 till 9. Okay, now we are going to check if, see, some of the values are filled, we need not to change those values. We need to make a change only at the cell where there is a value that is 0. So we are going, firstly we are going to locate that if input Sudoku is equals to 0, then what we are going to do, we are going to populate that particular cell with 9 possible values. Okay, we are going to populate that cell with 9 possible values that is ranging from 1 till 10. Why I have written 10? I hope you must be knowing about the range function in Python. In range function, the upper limit is not included. So if I am writing 1 comma 10, so that means my loop will move or values will be assigned ranging from 1 till 9. Okay, if I'll write 9, then it will move till 8. Okay, so that is why, because I want to move it till 9, so I have written 10 here. Okay, once I have written 10, if you remember what we were doing in the concept, firstly we will be assigning all the values to one cell and then we are going to check that the value should not be present in that corresponding row, value should not be present in the corresponding column, value should not be present in the corresponding block. So now we are going to make such kind of checks here. After assigning 1 till 9 values, now we are going to eliminate the values one by one. Okay, so how we are going to do that, we'll write candidates, since we have assigned the values here, so we'll write candidate equals to, then we are writing remove row duplicate. First of all we are going to check the row duplicates, okay, in which we are going to pass our Sudoku. Okay, after that we are going to pass I and then candidates. Now similarly I'll be defining those functions, but let me just write these lines. Similarly we are going to check it for column and similarly for the block. Okay, calling it for our row duplicates, one we'll call it for column duplicates. Okay, inside column duplicates what we are going to pass, we are going to pass j instead of I, because in that row is going to be same. Okay, columns are getting changed. And in block duplicates, and third one is going to be block duplicates. In block duplicates what we are going to pass, we are going to pass our Sudoku, we are going to pass both I and j. Okay, as well as that candidates. Okay, so now, and after eliminating all the possible values, now at this point of time I have reached to that one single value. After eliminating all the possible values, we have reached to a state where we have achieved that one single value which is meant for that cell. Okay, so here we are going to assign that value, then we are going to return that single value. We are going to return that single value, that is all candy. Now let's just define this row duplicates and column duplicates. So first of all I need to define remove row duplicates. Okay, inside that what we were passing input Sudoku, we were passing row and we were passing candidates. Okay, these things we were passing. Now inside this what I'm going to check, I'm going to check for that particular row. Okay, so our row, okay, we are going to check for that particular row. So what we are going to write, for I in the range that is 0 till 9. Okay, because we the same row for the different elements. Okay, but here we won't have that column loop because we are not concerned with the column, right? We are just checking the row. Okay, and inside that what we are checking, that if first of all we need to make change, if input Sudoku, we need to perform these things, we need to check for the duplicacy only if the value is non-zero. If there is a zero value, we are not supposed to do any such thing, right? If the value is non-zero, see, firstly what we have done, we have replaced that zero value with all the numbers from 1 till 9. So first of all, in order to be on safe side, first of all, we are going to check value should be non-zero. If the value is non-zero, only then we'll be performing our function. Okay. If the value is non-zero, then we are going to check if input Sudoku row I. So that means I am talking about one particular value. Okay. If that is present in candidates, okay, then you need to remove that. Okay. Candidates dot remove input Sudoku. What we are trying to do, see what we are trying to do, we are just finding out that okay, I have populated this cell with the numbers from 1 till 9. Okay, now I am checking the corresponding row, that if out of these numbers, if any of the number is present in this particular row, then I need to remove that number. That cannot be filled in this cell, because this was the constraint of your Sudoku puzzle, that we cannot have a repeating number in a row or in a column or in a block. Okay, so this is what we are trying to do here. We are trying to check for the particular row and we are removing if there is any repeating element. But for that, firstly we need to check element should be non-zero. Only then I have to remove the things. If element is 0, that means we have not yet reached to this step. Okay. Similarly, we are going to do this for the columns. Okay. So what I'm going to do, we are going to have column. Okay. And here we are not passing row. There is a value j has been passed and j represents your columns. Okay. And here what we are going to do, we will move I in the range from 0 till 9. Okay. And here we are not going to check row I. No, we are going to check for the I and then column. Basically here I and j, see here I is representing your row because we are moving in 9 we are moving in 9 different cells, and here that is representing your column because we are again moving in 9 different cells. Okay. So here what we are going to do, we are just taking I and we are having column. Okay. If input Sudoku I column is in candidates, then we need to remove that I column. We need to remove that particular value. Okay. Hope you have understood the concept. See, from remove row duplicates, we have reached to this step that these values cannot be a part of this cell. And after column duplicates, we have reached to this step that we cannot have these possible values we cannot have, right, for this particular cell. Now I told you that there could be the possibility that, see here I am left only with a single value, but there can be a possibility that we can have more than one value. For that we need to have one different function which is known as remove block duplicates. Okay, we cannot have same value in one block also. That is the condition. Remove block duplicates, in which what we have passed input Sudoku. Okay, with that we have passed row, column, and we have also passed all candidates. We've got row, then we have got inside that what we are going to do, firstly we are going to start our row start. From where to start? See, basically what is a block? I told you in the previous lesson that this is a table, this is like a table that consists of subtable. So now we are going to talk about that subtable. Now for that subtable, we need to tell them that from where to start and where to end. For this block, I need to start from the 0, 0. But for this block, from where to start? So for that, we are going to calculate this thing. Okay. From where to start, because every time there is going to be a different block. So we need to define that from where to start. Row start is equals to, row divided by 3. Okay, now what is this row divided by 3? This can be a float value. So I want to be on a safe side and I am going to convert this into integer. Okay, then multiply it by 3. Why I am multiplying it by 3? Because see, each block is going to contain 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay, so that is how. Similarly, we are going to do that for column start. Okay, column start, that is equals to, now we are going to divide that column by 3. Since it is a square metric, so we are going to use the same concept for rows as well as for column. Now this will get the row start and column start, but where to end? Where to end that we also need to tell. Let's just take the short names for this row start, column start. You can work with the same names as well, but I am going to take a different name. Okay, R1 will represent my row start and C1 will represent my column start. Okay, actually this line is not required, but I have shown it so that that would be easy for you to understand. Okay, so now inside this row start, column start, it will tell me from where to start and where to end. That for that, let's take a variable. Now in every block I'm going to have only 3 elements. So what I'm going to do, that's, suppose if I'm starting from third position, so I need to move till 6 only, that is 3 4 5. Okay, I need to take only 3 elements, so that is why I have written 3R1 plus 3. Okay, why I'm writing 3 actually, because see, we know that in range function upper bound is not included. So if I write 3 comma 6, it will move till 5 only, and this is my purpose. I want to move 3 4 5. I want to have 3 rows in my that block. Okay, so that is why I have taken one additional value, right? Similarly, I'm going to do that for column. Column is equals to from where to start plus 3. From wherever you are starting, you need to add 3 to that. Okay, you can start it from wherever you want, but then you need to add 3 to it. Okay, R1 R2 C, so R1 R2 C1 C2 will give me one particular block. R1 and C1 will represent the starting of the block, and R2 C2 will represent the ending of the block. Okay, now once we have reached to the starting and ending of the block, we know from where my block will get started and where it will get ended. Now it's the time to check for the duplicacy. Okay, so what we are going to do, we will not move from 0 till 9 here. Okay, because my block is not going to get started from 0 till 9. That could be start from 0, that could start from 4. Okay, so here I'm going to write from the range R1 to R2. Okay, and similarly for J in the range, that is from C1 to C2. We have already calculated R1, R2, C1, C2. Okay, so here what we are going to do, now we are going to check if input Sudoku. Now we are going to check for the duplicacy in that particular block, but again the condition remains same. We will make a check only if the element is non-zero. If the element is 0, that means we have not yet reached to the step. Okay, if input Sudoku ij is non-zero, we need to check for the particular position. Okay, then we are going to check if input Sudoku I and j, okay, in candidates, if we have any value that is already present in a block and that is also a part of your candidate, then what you need to do, you just need to remove that candidates dot remove. Okay, and with that what you are going to remove, that particular value Sudoku, that is I and then is j. Okay, so till now we have reached to the step, we have eliminated, and what we are going to return, we are going to return the candidates, because we need to check that which values you are returning. We need to return the candidates from our row duplicates as well and from the block duplicates as well. Now we have removed the row duplicates, column and block duplicates. Now coming back to my function, that is determine candidates. Okay, once we have removed all the duplicacy value, that means now we have attained a step where we don't have any duplicate value. Okay, so once we have reached to that level, now we'll go back to our calling function, which is here. That is from the solve Sudoku, there was a call that was made to determine candidates, and inside determine candidates there were 3 different calls. One was for remove row duplicates, one for remove column duplicate, one for remove block duplicates. Okay, so once we have reached all the levels, then now what we are going to do, now we are going to fill our cells with that one particular value which we have achieved. Okay, so what we are going to write down here, that is input Sudoku is equals to input Sudoku is equal to fill cell with, let's just take this as like fill cell with one candidate. Now we are going to fill our cell with that one particular candidate. Put Sudoku comma all candidate. Now we are going to write this code for this fill cell with one candidate code. I'm just going to copy the same name from here, so that now inside that what I'm going to do, what I in the range that is 0 till 9 or j in the range that is 0 till 9. Inside that now I'm going to check that if all candidates, okay, at that particular cell is not equals to 0. See, I'm again and again telling you that if it is equal to 0, then we are not supposed to do anything, right? We cannot do anything actually. Okay? And if length of all candidates is equal to 1, I mean if at that particular place there is only one single element, then we are supposed to do these tasks. And then what we are going to do, we are going to have that cell value is equals to all candidates I, j, then 0. Okay, and then all candidates I, j, input Sudoku j, Sudoku I, j value. Okay, and then we are going to return our Sudoku. Once we have filled our candidate, now we'll go back to the calling function, that is here. All candidates, C needs to be capital. Okay. C needs to be capital, so it copied it. So I need to write C capital here. In this function, what I'm trying to do, firstly, I'm going to check that the value which I'm going to fill with one candidate, that value should be non-zero and that cell should contain only one value. If there is more than one value, so that means my remove row, duplicate column, block, out of these three functions, maybe there is a function which has not worked properly, because once those function will execute, they will return me one single value. Okay. So from here we'll move back to the calling function, that is solve Sudoku. Inside solve Sudoku, now we'll be checking, okay, we'll be checking that whether our list has been solved or not. So we have taken a variable that is solved is equal to, for that I have made a function that is check solved. Inside check solve, what we are going to pass, obviously our Sudoku. Okay, now we are going to define this particular function, that is check solve. We need to define that function before using, that is the format of your Python. Okay, so here what I'm going to write, that is def. Okay, and inside that what we are going to do, now we will move on to the check solved function. Okay, here we are just going to check only that here I am just making the value as a true, because we have already discussed that we are going to execute all the operation unless and until my is solved value is false. Once it becomes true, so that means all the values have filled. Now we need not to perform any operation, right? So here what we are going to do, we are just going to take a value that is flag. Now since flag is a local variable, so it will work only for this block. Okay, so for I in the range, now what is going to be the range, that is with 0, 9. That remains same for every loop except for your blocks, because for blocks we have not 9 by 9 dimension, we have 3 by 3 dimension, so we need to change that, right? Else the dimensions are going to be same. Okay, if now inside this if, what I'm going to write, if input Sudoku, okay, I and then j is not equal to 0. Okay, if it is not equals to 0, so that means flag is equals to, I'm just assigning it a value and I'm breaking it here. Okay, so that means there is a value which is non-zero. Here I am checking the value is non-zero. That means I have filled the value. I need not to do anything. Okay. I am making the flag as false and I am just breaking it. Okay. Now after coming out, okay, after coming out, here I am checking if not flag. If not flag, so that means if not true. If this is not true, then what will happen? If not flag, then again you need to break it. Okay, and you need to return the value of the flag to the calling function. So it is going to return either true or false. Okay, if the value is 0, so it will return true. So that means we are not supposed to, we cannot say that our solution has been done. Okay, so now we'll again come back to our solve Sudoku function. Okay, now from here we are going to check that the whether Sudoku has been solved or not. So now let's just run this code once. Okay, now we need to print whatever output will come. We are going to print that. Now we need to print the solve Sudoku. So we are going to write it here inside our function, inside our solve Sudoku function. Okay, so for I in the range 0, 9, okay, for j in the range, that is again 0, 9, and then we are going to print our input Sudoku, okay, and I and j, okay. And along with the same concept that I want to have all the row elements in the same row but with some spaces, so I'm using an end separator for that on the different lines. So for that I'm using this. Okay, so now let's just run this code once. Okay, so see, now if you can just have a look that I am getting my output. Okay, I am getting my desired output. In here we have the elements 0 elements, which means null entries, and after solve Sudoku we don't have any null entry, and there is no element which is getting repeated either in the block or in the row or in the column. Okay, so each row is going to contain a unique element. You can just have a look that 1 is in this row, so 1 cannot be in this column and 1 cannot be in this row. 1 cannot be in this block as well. Block is of 3 by 3, right? So with this we have solved our Sudoku puzzle with the help of example. Now I want to show you one more thing, that what if I am going to check how many times my loop is getting executed, like I have shown you in the when I was discussing the program with you, that how many times my loop is getting executed. So let's just take that variable. Let's just take that variable as a loop and just initialize that as 1. Okay, so how many times loop will be executed? The number of times that is solved is coming out to be false. Okay, so here what I'm doing, I'm just incrementing the value. Okay, so with every iteration of the loop, my loop value is going to get incremented by 1. And here, after printing my solve Sudoku, I am going to print my loop here. I'm going to print the value of the loop. Okay, I'm going to print a message where I'm going to print the value of the loop. Let me save this code and let's just run this. So if you can just have a look, loop is coming out to be 8. But I have shown you the result in which the value of the loop was 3. This means that still we need to optimize this code. Okay. So this code would be able to solve your easy, medium and hard levels of Sudoku. But one level, which is known as evil level, which was the toughest of all, that won't be solved with this program. Okay, because for that we need to take stacks. Okay, because in the evil level sometimes it happens that there are 2 elements which are left for one particular cell. 2 elements can fit into that cell. Now we need to put those 2 elements in stack, and then we need to make a decision that which element is going to be the exact element for that particular cell. Okay, for that we need to optimize this particular code. We need to embed one more function in this code. Okay, so we'll be seeing that optimized solution in our next lesson. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed learning this Sudoku puzzle with the help of program. Thank you. Bye-bye.